Raw pork. Can you feed your dog pork when feeding raw? Absolutely. In this video, I'm going to break down how to feed, what to feed, how it works, where to get it from, and what you should be doing if I were you. Matter of fact, let me just make sure if I were me, what I'd be doing to keep these dogs growing safely, happily, and healthy. You can feed every part of a pig to a dog, which is why we fed a pig to a dog. Stay tuned, people. Now, how many people believe that pork has a ton of parasites and can cause your dog to get infested with worms? I don't believe it. I've got the book. I'm gonna walk you through it. But if you are to deal with the concern of worms, aka, what happens if my dog gets worms? Does pork give your dog worms? The answer is no. How to prevent worms is to make sure you're deworming your dog every month. What's the best dewormer? Stay tuned, I'll walk you through what we do every month to ensure our dogs are worm-free and can eat safely all the pork, beef, chicken, rabbit. Oh my God, look at this. Roger with a little bit of fat on him in this episode. Now in America, it is believed that your dogs cannot eat pork due to the fact of a few outbreaks we had years ago that don't necessarily apply today. So it's important to have the information we need to better serve our dogs, to say the least. So it says here, freezing kills some parasites common in our meat chain, but not others. And many common concerns for raw feeders is the consumption of raw pork by dogs, largely a result of a great fear we have of raw pork in human chain. However, pork is clean. It is as clean as any other meat. Always has been, at least in the Europe and the United States. They had an outbreak of Trichinella, spiralis, a roundworm that can cause all sorts of trouble in the human if ingested, and your dog too. Albeit, examples are hard to find here. I can't find one example in a domestic dog in their boom, 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 control disease. You gotta see it for yourself, man. Now again, if you eat pork, if you don't eat pork, that's between you and God. The other facts are this: pork ain't really been seen to kill no dogs. It's not when it's raw, not when it's cooked. I'm gonna tell you a trick in the next video or the next part about why I choose whole prey, aka baby pigs, versus even the processed pork at the store. If you are wondering how to start feeding raw, as you see right there highlighted, the key here is whole prey. Whole prey is the way. If you cannot get whole prey, let me walk you through how to feed so that the dog gets everything that it needs while adding a little bit of fiber to ensure your dog stays healthy and happy. That's a dog who should be done eating, but he's gonna go outside because he can't be quiet. Now again, you say, man, how do I get my dog to eat a pig, eat a rabbit, get motivated by whole prey? I fast them for a day and then I put the rabbit in there, and normally they will engage. It tastes a little bit, sometimes they will not eat it. If I put this rabbit in Zara's cage, she's not fooling with it, that's the truth. She can't fathom eating the pig, but everybody else can. And you start that as early as 6 to 8 weeks. If you got a litter, drop that thing in there. Now what I do love about pork, especially if you have a bitch you're breeding, is you normally need to start doubling up on fat to ensure she stays full of milk during her feeding time per se. If your female's too lean, she will struggle to produce milk, which is why 10% fat, I mean literally I go 1% more from the 4th week of potentially her being pregnant all the way through the last 63 days. So she might have 30% of her milk being fat alone, just to ensure she continue to produce milk. She can produce milk for 4 weeks. We feed whole prey by way of ground pork, pork tenderloins, which you saw me cut up in various videos. This is a pork heart, which has tons of taurine. If you look as the bone, aka the pork leg or pork feet, that's gonna help keep the poop solid. And then we turn around and cool them off with a cucumber. Fiber is important in every one of the meals. When we eat things like turkey, like beef, our temperature rises. I ain't gonna get into the technicalities. One of the things you could do to help manage your dog's, I don't want to call it frustration, but 9 out of 10 dogs are going to get into a very heated state as they eat things that are higher in fat. Therefore, they're going to become sluggish, slow, etc. This right here is cool. I mean, I could bite this thing and you'd be like, oh, give this to them, it's going to help absorb, utilize, build the gut microbiome, to say the least. And then you can add a cup of pumpkin along with some kefir or goat milk or pumpkin. It's gonna go over your head, people. You wanna know how to feed raw, and that's what this video is about. When to use pork, how to use pork. I got tons of taurine, which provides, taurine's an amino acid that literally gives your dog everything that it needs in terms of muscle activity. For 6 to 9 months, every dog should get some heart, especially if you're feeding raw. Chicken hearts, beef heart, pork heart. Heart is one thing I would encourage you to do, especially through what they call mitosis. Boogeyman and Mowgli, they'll be eating at least a heart a week. At least a heart a week to ensure that they're properly growing, properly developing, and we continue to see the muscle formulation, of course, paired with great walks and some activity. Next, the pork tenderloin is often balanced in a leaner meat, specifically from the pork, from the pig, where, you know, some people eat it rare, some eat, I'm playing, they don't eat it rare. They can eat pork medium. So you go, why is the food not being cooked? Objectively, because in this state, you've got your highest amino availability. Once you start cooking it, you start cooking it out. Think about a boiled egg. If you eat a boiled egg, you fart, the farts stink. Why? Because the aminos are cooked. Literally, they're so fried that your body says, God, we gotta get this crap out of there. Protein's measured basically by your gas amount. If you're a gassy person after eating certain foods, your body's not absorbing and utilizing the protein. Now, this is actually the hard part right here, is getting your dogs to eat a cucumber. So I'm going to break it up and see who does what. Maestro actually doesn't like fruits and vegetables. What is this shit? This is some bullshit. Now guys, if you're feeding raw, you're gonna continue to ask the question as I do too, and I try to answer with actions. Hey, what should I feed my dog? You feed what you believe in, but let me be very clear, there is no food and nothing out here that is technically safe. What you have to figure out is what works best for your dog. And that's stacking and putting the right combination of things together, making sure that your dog gets every nutrient it needs. Otherwise, you will cause problems for your dog long term. If you want to know more about problems where there's a lack of taurine, a lack of lysine, a lack of leucine, all or any of the essential amino acids, I can do a video articulating what it means when you only feed one thing. Every dog needs 2 forms of protein, which is why we always do a whole prey day. In this case, we've shown you what it means and how to feed a pig to your dog. Because technically, even if I go to the store, I'm getting pig for my dog. The problem is when it gets processed, the dogs oftentimes get some gastrointestinal inflammation, or the guts get a little frustrated, and then the body doesn't always process it well. What I've learned beyond a reasonable doubt is that when I give them a whole pig, they do just fine. The house isn't gassy. When I give Zara that meal right there, or even his heart, you go, that stinks. And then you might ask, why would I give them extra if they ate a whole pig? Because those numbers different. Meaning, hey, how much % of the dog's meal needs to be heart? Hardness is not a secreting organ. All that means is it's a muscle meat. What's a muscle meat? Objectively has folic acid and it's got tons of taurine. You want to feed that, especially to your French bulldogs or any dog with cleft palates and cleft lips. You're looking for supplements for folic acid. Hearts are the way to go. But pork, to be clear, in every book, has been deemed and will continue to be safe for your dogs. Now the challenge is who's actually afraid to just feed raw in general? Now, time set by those who are afraid to actually feed pork. But even here, in Dr. Karen Becker's book, Forever Dog Life, her whole job and her whole life has been dedicated to making sure dogs are healthy, happy, and forever better. And it starts off with pork. There is a rumor that you shouldn't feed your pet pork because it has high fat content. However, pork has around 1/3 of the amount of fat or beef pork is an excellent source of protein and amino acids and can be perfect protein for pets allergic to chicken or beef. Then it just talks about if serving according to the CDC, make sure you freeze at certain temperatures. Guys, pork ain't the devil, especially when we talking about our dogs. Now, in some of you cases, you say, oh, well, it's just a dog. I've been there before too. To us, they're not just dogs. They're dogs who deserve the best quality of life. And it takes feeding heart, feeding ground pork, feeding feet, feeding pig snoot, feeding kidney, feeding liver, feeding ovaries, as you've seen. You've seen us literally feed everything to ensure our dog's health is properly managed. And we still don't know if it's right? All we can do is do the best we can with the information we need. And then you might say, how much do I give my dog a parental? You could give your dog 50 times the amount that is required and your dog still should be safe. Meaning, if you overdose, it's fine. But let me give you the numbers. For every 10 pounds, you need 1 ml basically. Repeat that, 1 ml per 10 pounds. If I have a 50-pound dog, for instance, using this syringe here, see that says 5 mLs. That means if it's a 50-pound dog, he would get that much. If it is a 100-pound dog, he would get 2 vials of this of parental. How often should you deworm? Every month. Whether you're feeding raw or not, your dog should be dewormed, people. Stay tuned, take care of your dog, feed raw, and if you're questioning, hey, can I feed raw pork according to these 2 books and my experience? Absolutely. Till next time.